What's the one thing that you really want to do at the table, but you don't? My DM runs a bit of a grimdark world where, unfortunately, the villains are the most likable and competent people. I've wanted to join up with the villains for literally months, but that would end poorly, so I stay quiet. I wish people would go ahead and take the risk, try that stupid idea, embrace the idiot inside. It makes for a more enjoyable game than 5 people haggling for 15 minutes, min-maxing their approach. I often hold myself back from saying, your character would probably care more about the objective if you were paying attention during the session. Or, you don't have to wait for the DM to say it's your turn to start thinking about what you want to do. Or, let's not forget, you would know your bonus to different checks way faster if you, I don't know, wrote them down on your character sheet. I'd love to do an old-fashioned dungeon crawl with all the necessary micromanaging, resource tracking, and inevitable low-level character death. Individually tracked experience would be a treat, too. I'd love to create organic inner-character drama in a way that doesn't reduce the fun. Metagaming. Hands down. Sometimes there are vast differences between what I, as the player, would consider an optimal course of action and what my character would know and do. I keep myself in check and try not to act on my metagamey impulses, but it's difficult sometimes. If the narrative isn't going in a direction my character would go, I should be able to freely have them move on, with the option to come back, if it makes sense, of course. Also, sometimes I just want to shout, "You're making a horrible choice!" to my table mates in combat. I sometimes want to yell at the other players, "Just shut up! Trust the DM and do something cool!" It's been, mostly, the same group for years. We know they'll keep the story going, and we know they're not out to get us, in the bad DM sort of way. I'm not saying play chaotic stupid alignment, but just take an action or roll a character that isn't the best subclass. I'm not saying to build a bad or suboptimal character either, but the campaign will be just fine if you play a phantom rogue instead of a swashbuckler. The druid doesn't have to be Circle of the Moon. They could be a pyro with Circle of Wildfire. We've been playing together for a long time now. Just trust that the game can move forward. Be creative, have fun, and keep the campaign moving! I assure you, your genie patron warlock's eldritch blasts will still work. And now, we can all enjoy resting inside your magic lamp. My friend, you are a bugbear with a 10-foot reach. Go ham! Climb those trees to attack from up high. Y'all, we can be creative and have fun, and keep the campaign moving. Play a martial character. I have before, and it was super fun, but no matter how hard I try to steer that way, the utility of casters pulls me back every single time. You're good with an axe versus you can heal the wounded, control the earth itself, rain fire on your foes, and see through the veil of time and space. Hard to pick the axe. Well, you're not a dwarf, are you? Also, steel. I always want to go high, sleight of hand, and sticky fingers, but I never want to be the guy getting us kicked out of towns, blacklisted by allies, or hunted as thieves. I have one as a DM. I've recently been running a full-stop homebrew campaign. My players love the hell out of it. There are homebrewed races, creatures, items, locations, puzzles, the whole lot. That said, I've come upon the DM curse of creating what I think is a difficult fight that will make my players sweat, curse, and panic, only for them to decimate it like it's no biggie. Now, because of this, the thing I often desperately want to do, but never do at the table, is buff my creatures or fudge my battle rolls. Honesty in rolls keeps things interesting and moving, but sometimes, God, you wouldn't be so confident about assessing the situation if you were hit with 27 damage instead of 5, would you? Alas, it's all about the fun of the game, and I learn more and more about how to create those intense fights the more time I spend with my players. I can live with having full rooms decimated. I just take notes. This is what happens at my table so often. We should do something. Should we do something? If we do something, then X bad effect might happen. For like almost an hour at a time, I'm just sick of it. Just make the choice. Do the thing. If all you're gonna do is waffle and sow doubt, why are we treating this like a democratic process? I desperately want to push the plot forward, but don't force the issue because I don't want to be seen as stepping on others' toes or hogging the spotlight. Tell other players they're using their spells and abilities incorrectly. I have a bard who uses Crown of Madness whenever possible. It's objectively a terrible spell, but the way he and the DM think it works is that it makes the target attack someone of the bard's choice, and that's what happens. Honestly, I'm fine with that because otherwise it's a spell only an NPC should ever use. Here's what the spell actually does. The charmed target must use its action before moving on each of its turns to make a melee attack against a creature other than itself that you mentally choose. The target can act normally on its turn if you choose no creature or if none are within its reach. Tell the one player to stop cross-stitching or go home. They aren't paying attention to the game, and in the middle of fights, we have to give them a rundown of what just happened because they were focused on something else. It's not a coping thing, it's a distraction. Well, I want to play as an evil character, not a brainless murder hobo, but someone who's evil and yet has valid reasons to be. But the DM didn't allow us to be evil at all. So now I'm the DM and I can be as evil as I want. Still, it would be fun to play as an evil character who slowly finds a way to be good, or to corrupt others to some degree. I'm answering on behalf of one of my players. Abuse magic to its fullest potential. Heh. Magic in 5th edition has so much potential for broken shenanigans. You basically have to consciously choose not to, which is always fun. Now I know this because I once ran a duet campaign. One-on-one, only one player in the party. For this player, and she played completely differently. A wizard with no holds barred is a different character entirely from one trying not to hog the spotlight. I have to stop myself from being part of every conversation with every NPC. I really want to jump into every roleplay opportunity, but I make myself sit back on some, especially when something pertains to another character's story or goals. That way everyone can get some spotlight too. I want to play a corruption arc, a character falling from grace, walking down a smooth road, paved with necessity and loyalty. It would start innocent enough, sure, but after a while there would be no denying it's an evil playthrough. I want to embrace it too. I want my PC to enjoy it and believe this is somehow better for them. I want it to be ugly, dirty, and gory at times, but with emotions, pathos, and even wholesome moments around it. I don't see myself actually playing an evil character because my friends lean toward our party being good guys, or at least neutral. Never the bad guys. What's more, I'd need a lot of trust to go on that kind of downhill ride. I'd feel a bit embarrassed about it if the party didn't follow along, of course. When other players forget things, especially if they're relatively inconsequential, I always want to jump in and remind them, even if my character wouldn't have any way of knowing the information. I have a really good memory for details in the game, and as the group note taker, I'm on top of recording everyone's scenes, even if I'm not in them. Sometimes I have to stop myself and flip back through my notebook to remember if my character knows something or if it's just me, the player. I've always thought that an in-game romance could be fun, if it makes sense for the character, of course. Either it could be PC and another PC, or a PC and an NPC, if there seems to be that connection between the characters and it's mutual. But I really don't want anyone at the table to ever be uncomfortable. As a result, I'm not sure I'd ever bring it up because I don't want to create a potentially awkward situation. Play with PCs who don't think character building and an Excel spreadsheet are the same. Like, come on, dude, there are choices besides SS and GWM. It's not a competition, and you're allowed to make a character that isn't min-maxed to the limit. I'm not saying you should deliberately choose anything suboptimal, of course, but you could make a character who isn't good at everything. There are other clerics than Twilight and Peace, other barbarians than Totem, and other rogues than Gloom. Rey from the new Star Wars was boring, yes, because she was good at everything. She tried. The exact same thing goes for playing with these Excel enthusiasts disguised as PCs. I'm so sick of people in my group building stat sheets instead of characters. I don't care how effective they are in combat. The DM just scales up the difficulty, and everything you did didn't matter in the end. Just roll up a character with personality, dreams, motives, and stuff rather than Greg the Deathstalker Rogue Ranger Fighter Super Wombo Combo guy who's like that because I just wanted to roll big numbers. Like your 37 damage at level 2 is the same thing as doing 8 damage unless your DM is an idiot who doesn't scale the game to the party and is running a pre-written module, so why bother? All it accomplishes is making everyone else feel they have to do the same thing to be effective in combat. Otherwise, they get drowned out because we suddenly need to fight multiple dragons to have anything close to deadly for our level 5 party. Oh, but God forbid the DM gives out some magic items to try, you know, and balance it out. Suddenly, the magic item count needs to be spread and even if it makes sense in character for someone else to have it. I recently joined a Pathfinder group where nobody was doing any multi-book faffing around, and it was some of the most fun I've ever had in role-playing games because I felt like a part of the team rather than an afterthought. Pathfinder hype, high five. Summarily execute rich and politically connected humanoids. Take a session or two from the plot and turn the game into Thief, crawling through said rich and politically connected humanoids' mansions, knocking out all the staff harmlessly, executing the armed personnel, and leaving the place immeasurably poorer than when I arrived, entirely unseen. Hey everybody, Brian Von VA checking in after the vid. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, ring that bell, and let us know in the comments below. What's the one thing you really want to do at the table, but you don't, can't, or won't? That said, if you do want to help us at the table, you're more than welcome to join our membership. It would be a huge boon to us. You get some early access to vids, and maybe in the future behind the scenes outtakes and other crap. That said, we love you all. Please be safe out there, be happy, and enjoy December. See you later.